Good morning, students. So today we are going to start with the new chapter, which is from the subject civics, and this is chapter number 2, federalism. So it's from class 10, subject civics, lecture 1, chapter 2, federalism. So in the previous chapter, you have studied about vertical division of power among different levels of government. It's one of the major forms of power sharing in modern democracies. Now in this chapter, what we are going to focus, we are focusing on basically a form of power sharing, which is referred here as federalism. So federalism is a part of power sharing only, and in this particular chapter what we are going to study basically about federalism in general terms, what we say about what is the major meaning of federalism here, and rest of the chapter is about understanding the theory and practice of federalism in India, and analysis of the policies and politics that have strengthened federalism in practice. And in the end of the chapter we'll study about the local government, a new and the third tier of Indian federalism here. So basically this is the entire chapter that we're going to cover, but today we are going to study about these topics. So the topics that we are going to cover in this particular lecture are: what is federalism? So first of all we are going to study about what is federalism actually, what does it mean. So you will got to know about the certain meaning of federalism here. Then we will study about the objectives of federalism. What are the objectives of federalism? The features of federalism, the difference between holding together and coming together. So basically these are the two types of federalism here. And then we can discuss about the assignment solution also that I have given in the previous lecture. So this will be the topic that we are going to in this particular lecture. So we are starting with this lecture now, which is federalism. So first of all we should know what does federalism means. So what is federalism? I can start with an example. Like in India, there are majorly three types of power sharing that we have studied in previous chapter also, like the central government, the state government, and now the local government also. But majorly when we see in the other countries also, the major powers are in the hand of the central government and the state government, and this power is not in the hand of only one person, it is being divided. So when the power is divided between two equal authorities, that is federalism here. When the power is divided amongst each other, that is federalism. So in a country, when the power is divided into the main central government to the state governments, it is being divided, that is a form of federalism here. So what does federalism mean? Federalism is the system of government. So basically the system of government in which the power is divided. The power is divided between the central authority and the various constituent units of the country. So basically the power is divided between the central most authority to the state authority. Like in India also now there is a third form of power also, that is the local self-government. But majorly we count only the central authority, that is the central government and the state government here. So basically this federal system has dual objectives. So basically what are the objectives of this federal system? Firstly, to safeguard and promote unity of the country. So basically the main objective of this federal system is to save and promote the unity of the country, to promote basically to promotion of the unity of the country, while at the same time accumulate the regional diversity. So when we live in a particular country, there are multiple of communities that live in a particular country. There are multiple regions, like in India itself there are so many religions, there are so many communities that live here. So this federal system helps them to be in a unit, to work as a unit there, and at the same time they should accumulate these regional diversity also, so that they can live in a country with peaceful mind, so that they are also getting all the equal opportunities here, they are not being discriminated in any form. So this federal system works for the to promote basically the unity of the country, and while at the same time accommodate this regional diversity. So therefore these two aspects are crucial for the institutions and practice of federalism. So basically these two aspects are very crucial for the institution and practice of federalism. Why? Because government at different levels should agree to some rules of power sharing. So government at different levels should agree some of the rules of power sharing. They should also trust that each would abide by its part of the agreement, and the ideal federal system has both aspects. What are these both aspects? Firstly is the mutual trust, and the second one is agreement to live together. So they should also trust these both things. Why? Because then ideal federal system has both aspects, the mutual trust also and the agreement to live together. So they basically the objective tells us to trust the government and give all of you to them. So basically there should be a mutual trust between the people of the who are living in a particular community and the government who are running it. If the trust is not there, they will lack to serve civil wars in a particular country, and the agreement to live together which cannot be formed. So there should be these two things that should be there. Now what is unitary system? So here what is unitary system is, in this form of administration there is only one level of government. If there are more subunits, they are subordinates to central. So basically a unitary system say that in the form of administration there is only one level of government. If there are more subunits, they are subordinates to central. Like when we talk about the other levels of the government, the central government runs all the other levels of government. So the central government is the one who is the unitary system, basically who runs all the other kind of government there. But if they are the subunits, they are the subordinates, they are working under the central government. So the power is divided here, but the main authority who have assigned these orders will be the central government here. So here the central government passes on the orders to the other levels of the government. So basically all the orders that are coming from the central government to the state governments, and the state government can give it to these local self-government also. Because of this, like in India, we can take the example of India, they are taking this Panchayati Raj also, and in Panchayati Raj they have their own kind of government they have set up there, and they are doing cause in a public interest, they are doing their justice there. So here all the subordinates work under central government, and the central government passes on the orders to other levels of the government, and these other levels of government are subordinate to the central government. So basically all the state governments that are there, they are the subordinate to the central government here. They are working under the central government. Like all the state government, like we take example of all the MPs of Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, all the states that are there, all the MPs, they are working under whom? They are working under the Prime Minister of India. He is the central government here. So the central government make such orders, like the Prime Minister make orders that there should be a lockdown here. So it should be and he tells also that these states are going to follow this lockdown. If there was a situation that only few part of the states are going to cover here, so he will let the state minister know that you have to follow these orders, you have to make this lockdown done, and if it is not necessary, so he will not pass that order. So because of the central government, he is passing the orders to the state government, and he have to implement it to all the subordinates around the state. Now what are the features of this federalism? So basically when we talk about the features of federalism, first is there are two or more levels. So basically the major levels in federalism are two, the central and state, but likewise in countries like India and maybe others too, there are more than two levels also, like the local self-government that has come up in India, the Panchayati Raj and all these things. So basically force feature can be, there could be more than one or two or more levels in federalism, and each level has its own justice. Basically justice is given in each level of their own. They have their own set of rules. Jurisdiction is there. How jurisdiction works, because they have formulated their own level of power there. So each level have their own power. They have given their rights. The power is given to them to do certain tasks, and each level's jurisdiction is specified. So basically in each level of this jurisdiction, the power sharing is specified, because the central government has authorized certain powers to them. Now these fundamentals of constitution can't be changed by the central level itself. So the fundamentals of constitution that have been made years back, it can't be changed by the central government, whatever it is. If they want to make certain changes in the constitution, it is not, it cannot be possible. How? Because the fundamentals of this constitution cannot be changed. It cannot be changed as anyhow, and these courts work as empire in the disputes of different levels, because the courts also work as empire in the disputes of different levels, like local level, then the state level, then comes the supreme level. The supreme level is the highest here. The court also that, because taking an example of a case, if one has to one person is particularly there in a situation and he wants to file a case. So if he thinks that he has not got that justice, he can ask to the higher authorities, the high court to the Supreme Court. Likewise, it is for the court is also as empire disputes of different levels. So the revenue sources for each level are specified here. The revenue sources, basically all the revenue that comes from each level are specified. So how much revenue they are acquiring from a particular state, that is also specified there. So if they are rich in certain things, their revenue level is specified, that you have to obtain that kind of revenue from it. And this federalism has its two objectives. Firstly, that I have talked about the safeguard and promote national unity and accommodation of regional diversity. So they are the two objectives here. Now the types of federalism. We can talk about the types of federalism also. The first one is coming together. So what does coming together means? Like in normal terms, we can also explain it as the coming together means these independent states that are there who come together and form a bigger unit. When in a particular country, there are certainly independent states who doesn't need any authority to work on under them. So they have certain powers, and when these independent states come together as a whole to make a bigger unit, they are basically upgrading their level of power when they are coming together. So when in a country, when these states come together to form a bigger unit, it helps them in the federalism. It helps to maintain the security and the safety of a particular country or of a particular state also. So, and each state is equally strong. And because of this, each state which is there who is coming together as a whole, they are getting equal opportunities and they are equally strong here. They are not any less than any other country. For example, like if USA, Switzerland and Australia, these particular states, these particular countries are coming together as a whole, they are forming a bigger unit than us. They are the bigger unit than us. Now the second type of federalism is holding together. The country is divided into states for better administration. Now holding together means that when the country is divided into parts, the power is divided into parts, so that there should be a better administration and people should get equal opportunity and equal powers are lies in the hand of different in the form of federalism here in different parts of the states. So the country is divided into states for better administration. It helps for accommodation of diversity. Accommodation means when all the power is accumulated and it is forming diversity under it, and some states might be given more power to it. The ultimate power lies in the hand of the central, and the power is also being given to these states, and it might be given all this power which is in the hands of the state. It is ultimately given by from the hand of the central government only. They are the one who is ruling around, but they are dividing and they are giving more power to the state government so that there should be a better administration working environment there. For example, these countries that those who have more than 2 or 3 levels, they are India, Spain, Belgium. These are the examples of holding together federation, the type of federation that they do. So this is it for this chapter, in this lecture that we have taken. Now we can talk about the assignment solution that I have given you 6 questions as an assignment from chapter number 2, geography, forest and wildlife resources. So the first question which I have given you was write any measure to conserve ecosystem. So the 3 measures to conserve ecosystem are the following: forest should be reserved and more, and trees should be planted across the region, specifically in those areas where deforestation takes place. Wildlife must be protected by enacting laws and creating awareness among people and starting various projects to save endangered species of plants and wildlife. The government has adopted the following methods to conserve forests after independence. The government has classified the forest into 3 types: reserved forest, protected forest and unclassed forest, making it clear which activity can be carried out in which type of forest. To give protection to wildlife as they fully depend on forest, various acts have been enacted like the Indian Wildlife the Protection Act, which is there in 1972. Subsequently, central and many state governments established national park and wildlife sanctuaries. Third, the government has started various programs like One Mahotsava to highlight the importance of forest among people of the country. So this was answer number 2. Answer number 3, reserved forest, protected forest and plant forest. So these are the forests which are permanently marked either to production of timber or other forest produce, and in which right of grazing and cultivation is seldom allowed. Second is protected forest. These are the forests in which the right of grazing and cultivation are allowed, subject to a few minor restrictions. Third is unclassed forest. These are constant, largely or inaccessible forest or unoccupied wastes. The fourth question was distinguish between endangered species and extinct species of wild animals. So endangered species are basically these are the species which are in danger and extinction, and the survival of such species is difficult if the negative factors that have helped to decline in their population continue to operate. Third is the black buck, crocodile, Indian wild ass, lion-tailed macaque, etc. are examples of endangered species. And extinct species, these are the species which are not found under searches of known or likely areas where they may occur. A species may be extinct from a local area, region, country, continent or the entire earth. And aesthetic cheetah, pink head duck are examples of extinct species. Answer number 5, the forest community has developed and established their own set of rules as well as the regulations to protect the integrity of the forest reserves. These rules and regulations suggest that the forests are the natural resources and need to be preserved. These communities prevent the disturbance caused by the tribal communities for diverting resources such as timber, animal hides, and other resources, these communities prevent the crime like wildlife trafficking, hunting, poaching, and other forest associated crimes. Answer number 6. Point number 1, for prevent of illegal trade and hunting of the wildlife. Wildlife Crime Control Bureau is established. Government ban the hunting of endangered species of the animals. Central government also empowered the CBI in order to deal with the illegal hunters and men involving in it. Government plans to stop the deforestation and plans for plantation of new trees. The green belt programs also going in order to plant the plants in the cities. So this was the assignment solution. Now the homework for today is that you have to read the chapter and you have to solve the illustration that is given on page number 14 and 15. There are two illustrations that has been given to you. You have to solve that. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any queries, you can ask in the comment section also. Thank you.